Moving on to our Bright Lights presentation from the Waukesha STEM Academy, Saratoga Bicycle Grant. Mr. Murray, you are up.
Part of the requirement for bright lights was to be bright. Love it.
Looks great. Did you ride some of the bikes over?
I tried. Mr. Tuttle had him locked down.
Oh, what?
Some of you may have had Mr. Tuttle. So. All right. Thank you, Waukesha School District Board of Education. We'd like to thank you for having us tonight. I have myself, James Murray, principal of the Waukesha STEM Academy.
Eric Hill, instructional coach.
Elizabeth Shelley was student of STEM.
Tonight we'd like to present on behalf of STEM, Riding for Focus, which is through the I Am Specialized or the Specialized Bicycle Company, a partnership that embraces exercise, healthy living, and a focus in school. And so Eric can probably speak a lot more to this, but long story short, there was a man with a passion driven to support students with ADHD, and bicycling was his avenue and his really his foundational practice to get that moving across the country. Eric, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, sure. So Mike Sinyard is the founder of the Specialized Foundation and the Specialized Bicycle Foundation. He's also the founder of mountain biking. So if you ride a mountain bike, you can thank Mike Sinyard for that. But his sons both were diagnosed with ADHD and ADD. And he saw this pattern of more and more students being diagnosed, but then also being prescribed medication to work through and handle those learning disabilities. So he went ahead and he said, you know what, I'm not going to put you on a medication. I can see the power in cycling and the benefit in physical activity, and you can use that as a tool to help you focus in a classroom. And he went ahead, he partnered with Stanford University, and they did a whole research study, brain study, on how physical activity impacts focus on students, and specifically students with ADHD and ADD. And the benefactors of that program, or benefits of that program, were so successfully felt, we need to make this nationwide. So that's his goal, is to go ahead and develop a curriculum that is standardized, that can be implemented across the country in physical education classrooms, in summer camps across the country. Right now there's about 20 programs across the country that do the Riding for Focus curriculum. We applied in their first year of the grants. We were denied the first year, but because we have a little bit of grit and perseverance, we decided to come back and do it again the second year, and we were awarded the grant in that second year.
I think one of the largest things they wanted, was to show data that supported this grant and definitely the need to sustain. So we didn't just receive the bikes, we also have to provide data and feedback for the program and to the program mentors and the mentees as well. So we, Eric, myself, and Mr. Tuttle, were flown out to California to the foundation, the I Am Specialized or the Riding for Focus Foundation. We had about a 4-day training where they put us through everything the students would be trained in, from fixing a flat to putting a tire on to braking to gearing up and gearing down to putting this helmet on, which I'm doing improperly right now, so I would have been yelled at for that. But it was cool because, like Eric said, there's a grant between, or a partnership between Specialized and Stanford. Eventually, Stanford would like to reach out to us. Down the road, it got postponed, so we sort of held off on those conversations. But really looking at the impact at STEM and how we can scale this out from 25 bikes to maybe 50 to 100 to a full school model. I know there's, I believe, one other school in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Right. DeForest, yeah, right now. So we're doing pretty well with that in regard to Wisconsin. We have a 1 to 3 year roadmap. The plan is, again, if you don't submit, you don't keep up after a year, you return the bikes. We're doing very well. I know they're very proud with the work we're doing, especially the data and the reports that Mr. Tuttle and then Eric are submitting monthly. So it's looking great for us. We want to scale it. The two pictures here, or I should say the multiple pictures, but the top is Mr. Tuttle, mustache in full effect. So he was so excited to see the bike ride in one day. Eric surprised him. We got the fleet over there, I think, a weekend, and Eric rode in. We rode in the morning one day, and he was just shaking with anticipation. To take it from 4 stationary bikes to 25 real mountain bikes was just on another level. And then we were fortunate enough, Eric has if you know anything about Mr. Hill, has a big background in cycling. works with Project Echelon and oversees that, and had an ability to connect us with SARIS, which these down here were indoor trainers. So if you live in Wisconsin, which we all do, we lose some of the fall, the winter, and the spring due to inclement weather. That's no longer an issue. So we received, through a mini grant with our governing board and a partnership with these companies, indoor trainers for each and every single bike. So anywhere from doing this in the gym to around our school now, our program has just expanded. And then Velo City has also been generous enough to help us out as well in a partnership with bike maintenance and assembly. And it's just been a partnership from the community that's been amazing. So the bikes were really just the start. That was our goal. Once we had that, we just started to take off and truly expand this program. So it's grown by leaps and bounds.
So we're in a position now where it's not just a program, but it's something that we're integrating into other curriculums as well. So the bikes have actually been used in the science classroom to teach physics concepts. They've been used in our STEAM projects. They've been used in math to teach circumference, to teach ratios and proportions. It's been just really cool to see all the different dynamic ways that we can use it. And we actually had some students come to us with a student proposal project for one of our STEAM projects. And say, hey, we would actually like to build a pump track, a mountain bike track like the one you see in the upper right-hand corner on campus. Something that would allow students to have more easy access, something that, I could go out, Mr. Tuttle could go out, and we could actually supervise at lunch. The benefits that we are seeing with students that are involved in this program and their sense of self-efficacy and their actual performance on things like map data are so significant that I would absolutely see a benefit in making that accessible to them in the middle of the day when they need it. It's the same idea as having different seating options for a kid in the classroom, right? This is a tool we have accessible to us. Why wouldn't we make it available to kids when they need it?
And the goal, like Eric said, is the far right-hand corner, the upper right-hand corner. There is some land around us, but we've also been looking at local parks, Manuka, things like that, to expand to a pump track. The field in front of us is a blessing. We have that for the students, but you can see how we've gone from wide open. So if kids take a tumble, they're going to be able to get up and walk away, to the cones on the playground, to the pump, which is a lot higher velocity and more of a challenge, and obviously tighter corners and control. So we're trying to, no different than in a classroom, you'd move up and you'd get a little more increased rigor. This is sort of that same scaffolding that we're doing outside. So it's a pretty cool pattern that we're seeing with students. The story that we sort of really like to show is this one where, excuse me, again, it's not just riding the bikes, it's learning all about them. So we have students that have never ridden a bike before, we found this year, who have never once sat on a bike, never touched a bike, never, I'm talking not even tricycle. So that was amazing to us. Just to have a student get on a bike and watch how him or her actually starts to go. And then just rejoices, no different than when we learned how to ride a bike at 4 or 5. This young man was doing it at I believe, 14. So just a whole different perspective for us, too, as teachers, as principals, as students and peers. But again, the indoor training, the trainers have just been phenomenal. Anything from virtual reality we've used. I know Eric, I think, has sent video of his bike rides where the students are sort of racing against him in his times, where they're being monitored. It's working off calories or burning slices of pizza. So it makes it fun. It sort of gamifies it for the students. And then again, different races that they could sort of keep up with. And we just set it up in our gymnasium right now. So again, full circuit cycle training, students are all in.
So it's went beyond just the bikes as well. Just really quick, there's the Specialized Foundation reached out to us and they said, hey, we'd like to put together some water bottles, distribute them to all the people who have received the grant. Let's put together a challenge, a graphic design challenge to see what schools, submit the best designs. And the STEM Academy students, we had 3 student designs that won that award. And so these got distributed to 20 different schools who have received the grant in the last 2 years. And so we got 200 of these bottles to distribute to our own students at school as well. So just really cool for the kids to be able to, make this work tangible for them and be proud of what they're a part of.
The other thing, too, is that Channel 58 and some other media outlets have come through just to sort of capture this. I think they find it pretty fascinating when students are on bikes and riding at a school, first by choice, and then secondly trying to scale it into a Phi-Ed program as a curriculum more so. No different than we'd play basketball or hockey or soccer or what have you. Some students don't like all those sports, so we tried to bring them a different avenue of entertainment. In this case, it happened to be cycling.
CBS 58 tonight. Check out tonight's great lineup. Then
We had
stay
a
tuned
quick,
to the CBS
just 30-second
58
snippet.
News at 10.
We're not watching
Brought to you
NCIS.
locally by the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin, turning what ifs into what is possible.
All hoop. Great story all around.
Well, students at Waukesha STEM Academy spent part of their day getting some exercise. The school recently received specialized bikes. It's part of a program called Riding for Focus. It's designed to introduce students to cycling's positive effects on academics, health, and well-being.
We've got kids that have been riding for 10, 12 years and kids that have been riding for 10 days. So that blows me away, and it's amazing to see. Have a kid come up to you and say, this is the best thing I've ever done. I've never done it before is just, there's no words for that.
The school has also provided helmets and maintenance equipment for the bicycles. The students also got to learn about bike safety.
So that was cool, just for the students. I think the students that have never, they obviously watch TV, but to be on the news for them was a pretty cool gig. Impact in the classroom. So one of the biggest and largest components too then is saying, okay, this is great. We got the bikes, we got the helmets, we won the water bottle competition. We got some cool looking stuff going on here. What is it actually doing? Is it purposeful and intentional? Or did the kids just ride bikes for 60 minutes a day? So one thing we really had to do was have the impact and the data and try to show a correlation between those two. And some of the things that we noticed were increase in attendance rates. So we took subgroups and disaggregated the data and looked at the students that were in this, what started out as a STEAM project and eventually continues to grow. But increased attendance rates amongst those students, lowered instances of behavior referrals, growth in MAP data and literacy specifically, and then significant increase in engagement. If you talk about a class with zero behavioral issues, this would be it. It's not present because they're so engaged. They love it. They want to be there. So this is what we're providing specialized with, just to really demonstrate these are the components that we're really factoring in when we're talking about success versus is this just a program that we're rolling out. So a lot of accountability on our behalf too to specialized. Probably the best part of the whole thing, when the student becomes the teacher.
So I designed a project that I took like the trainers and I wanted to create more with what we were watching for videos on the trainers. So I decided I was going to watch a couple of videos just to see what the key factors of the videos were. And I built a project outside of home. I took a camera and I attached it to my bike and rode for 20 some minutes, and I recorded it, and then I submitted it as my project. It showed the difference between what students could do versus what people were doing for like a job on YouTube, and it just blew me away with the difference that the focus was helping, even just on the trainers, was impacting myself personally throughout my day on the bikes. So just it's a different kind of project that students can meet every day.
And then outside of Ellie, some of the other students were able to present too. So you saw various levels of students just clipping, free images to some that were taking selfies on their bikes. To others, the thing that I thought was cool is we were watching this and there was students actually updating their presentations as they would catch new points or facts that others were presenting, or if they heard a question, they would quickly fill in the answers to sort of educate because they were going next. So they were really sort of on the fly learning it and then teaching it again readily. So very cool to see, but just a different spin on things. It's a different look on FIED, project-based learning, and then activity tied to academics. So thank you very much.
Questions? Mr. Baumgart.
Two things. Is it Ellie? Very nice. I liked your idea and the fact that you brought this concept into it to develop the idea. So I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. Someplace in there you talked about safety, bike safety, and I really appreciate hearing that. A year ago, and I live near one of the elementary schools, and my wife walks past that school, and she's in the morning. And she's talking about these kids that are riding their bikes to school with the helmet hanging on the handlebars while they're using the smartphone. coming down here tonight, I had to stop because two kids are coming down the road on their bikes with their.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge, this is dirty pool, really, but challenge you, if you can put together some kind of a program to get to our elementary kids, to get them to realize they are putting their lives in danger with some of the nonsense they're doing on their bikes. And we've gone now, I talked to a principal, I talked to the school resource officer about this. So far, I've seen nothing happen, which is disappointing to me. But we have to get the kids in elementary school to understand some of the things your kids are understanding about the dangers. I mean, bikes are great. But if you don't use them properly, there's a lot of danger involved. And I think I'd like to see, maybe your kids could put together, like Ellie did with her video, a program for those third and fourth graders who know better than the rest of us. That was pretty sarcastic, wasn't it? But that's okay.
I got you.
So, anyway, you got my idea, and you stimulated me on this, as you can tell.
No, I think that's where you'll see the highest population of riding, too. You know, it tapers off in middle and in high school. I don't think you see a lot of kids rolling up on a mountain bike or a dirt bike. So, yeah, definitely a great idea. Thank you.
Think.
How do students qualify for the program, or how do you select students to participate?
So it's no different than any of our other STEAM projects. It's just 100% student choice. So right now this is a STEAM project. The kids take a survey, they vote, they rank their top 5 projects in order from first to fifth. And then we do everything that we can to honor their top choice.
Is it also part of your physical education program?
At this point, it's not because we don't have enough bikes to meet that,
For one
need.
class.
So that would be our next goal, is to show Specialized that, hey, we've demonstrated we can facilitate this program with fidelity, and that the data that we have supports that, and we'd like to have more bikes so that we can make it a school-wide physical education program.
So you've obviously seen some progress. This is your second year?
This is our first year.
Oh, this is your first year, okay.
Correct. Yep.
And so you've seen progress in attendance and improvement in learning
Yep. And that,
behavior?
Yep, and as I was telling Joe before the meeting, actually, it was very interesting for me, our males in the area of reading.
Really?
And those students with IEPs are the ones that are seeing the most significant growth on their MAP data.
Oh,
So,
that's wonderful.
really cool to see that target population showing improvement in growth.
Wow, that is just wonderful. Wouldn't it be great if you can get bikes for everybody? Because I'm sure that there's interest is mounted in your school and everybody wants to ride a bike. Can if you want to participate, can you bring your own bike, or do you have to use the bikes from school?
We do. So, yep, students can bring their own bikes. They just have to bring it to Velo City, who's partnering with us to do a safety check and
Okay.
ensure that
Oh, that's
everything meets the standards of the bikes that we would provide them.
Because, I was surprised when you said there are a lot of kids that don't ride bikes, and I guess I'm not familiar with that, because everybody in my neighborhood rode a bike, and my kids and all their friends rode bikes, but everybody doesn't have a bike. They are expensive, so.
I think one of the most powerful stories that we didn't share in this was
Yes.
we had a student who had never ridden a bike before. And then he went overseas, he went to Vietnam to visit his family.
Yes.
So he went from never riding a bike, and I worked with him during lunch for about 3 weeks and got him to be able to ride a bike, for a sustained amount of time. He got back from Vietnam and asked, what was your best part? He said, being able to go out on my own and ride a bicycle through town and experience the culture that my family's from.
Wow.
For him to be able to do that because of his involvement in that program, that meant a lot to all of us.
Wonderful story. Now, did the helmets come with the bikes, or did you have to get those separately?
So they came through the
They-
program.
No kidding.
Yep. They
Wow.
even got little lights on the back for you, Bill. So there you go.
Very good.
Well, I certainly want to congratulate you and compliment you for always looking for something to engage kids in better learning. So congratulations. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal idea, and it's working. Way to go.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Else? Oh, fantastic presentation. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to the meeting.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.